All right, if you want to come comfortable into a seated position, get lots of props underneath the knees. Make sure that you're not putting any pressure on your hips. If you want to cushion underneath the bum, just make sure that you're not pulling the muscles of the bum in any, like if you're sort of sitting on the edge, they might pull up a little bit. Try not to do that. Just try to prop yourself underneath the bum so that you're nice and comfortable. And if it's a little bit chilly, throw a blanket over your lap. Just very much making sure that you're getting comfortable in your seated position. And closing over the eyes, you rest the palms of the hands on the knees and take a nice big deep breath in through the nose, softening the belly, letting it expand as you breathe in, and then gently breathing out through the mouth. Feeling yourself releasing and letting go. I'm very much doing that in terms of trying to get everything started. So take a nice big deep breath in through the nose again. Filling the torso, imagining it's like a balloon, you're inflating the balloon. Pause just for a moment. And then as you breathe out through the mouth, imagining all that air coming out of the balloon, the torso is shrinking back down in size again till you're drawing the belly all the way in. And one more time, a breath in through the nose, letting the belly fully expand. Pause just for a moment. And then this time, breathing out through the nose if you can. You might hear the breath at the back of the throat. And then bringing the hands together in prayer position, pressing the thumbs to the heart center, bowing the head for a moment. Lift up the elbows. And so as you're doing this, you're lifting up the elbows and letting the shoulders drop down. Imagine the crown or the back of the head is extending up towards the ceiling. So you're really extending the entire length of the spine right up to the base of the skull. And bringing the shoulders down the back, the shoulder blades down the back. So notice how the shoulders are feeling. And when you press the hands together, you might feel a little pressure under the armpits, how the sides of the body are feeling, how the back of the neck is feeling, how the chest is feeling. And then just releasing the hands and bringing the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers. And try to straighten the elbows. So your arms are just going to press down towards the floor and your chest might lift a little bit. Keep the chin tilted towards the chest, just to, again, extend the spine. So straightening the arms if you can. If you can't straighten them, it's fine. It's just the imagine straightening the arms. Opening the front of the chest, so you're rolling the shoulders open. And then just releasing again. Bringing the hands back into prayer position once more, pressing the thumbs to the heart center. And based on the awareness of how you're feeling physically in the body, in the upper half of the body, just setting yourself a little intention. It's been a couple of weeks since we practiced together. And if there's been a lot going on, which there has been outside of your own space anyway, it allows you to just focus on the chest, the breath, any tension that's being held in the upper half of the body. Is there anywhere where you'd like to bring a little bit of focus to or awareness to today? And it's just in your mind's eye, picturing that space and breathing into that area. So if there was a tightness in the shoulder, tightness across the belly, anything like that, just bringing in awareness without judgment to that space. Breathing in, let the body expand. Pause for a moment and then breathing out through the nose, releasing the tension in all parts of the body. And then breathing in, sweeping the arms up and overhead. If you're stuck for space, you can sweep them up in front. Looking up at the hands, imagine you're holding a nice beach ball between your hands. Just looking up for a moment. Now, be aware of how the body's feeling here. Are the shoulders lifting up? Can you slide the shoulder blades down the back? Is there a nice kind of a softness to your shoulders? Can you make the lower half of the body heavy and soft at the same time so you're not gripping? And then breathing out, bringing the arms back down by the sides. Breathing in, floating the arms up again. Doing this once more, looking at the hands, imagining you're holding beach balls, sliding the shoulder blades down the back. Then as you breathe out, you're going to hinge forward at the hips, dropping that beach ball down onto the floor. Drop the fingertips down onto the floor and relax the head and neck. So all the time connecting with the breath. As you lean forward, you're breathing out, but staying here for a couple of breaths. So breathing in, try to expand the belly. Breathing out, allowing it to draw all the way back in. And as you breathe out, you're just trying to soften the muscles to release a little bit further into that forward fold. And looking forward at the hands, walk the hands over to the left-hand side. So you're centering the upper body over the knee. If you need to come up a little bit to do that, that's fine. Just always be aware of how the back is feeling. And if the tummy feels like it's in the way, you can just lift the tummy a little to help twist and then relax into that forward fold in as much as you can. With, again, a focus on the breath. Breathing in, allow the tummy to expand. Breathing out, just trying to release forward. And pay a little attention to the lower half of the body. How does it feel? Do you feel that twist around the waist? Is there any pressure that's happening around the hips? Any pressure on the knees? If there's anything that's painful, prop yourself up a little bit more. It shouldn't be painful. You should feel like you're working into the body, but you're looking for that release of tension, not introducing pain. Looking forward at the hands, walking the hands over to the right-hand side. Very gently, slowly, mindfully. And then as you breathe out, folding forwards. Again, connecting with the breath, breathing in through the belly, allowing it all to expand, pausing for a moment, and then breathing out, allowing any tightness, any restrictions to just soften. Looking forward at the hands again, walking back to the center, turning the hands onto the side so the thumbs are pointing up towards the ceiling, engaging the belly. Make sure the shoulders are down away from the ears, and then just lifting the head and chest, and the arms come to float back up towards the ceiling. Looking up at that beach ball again. And then as you breathe out, allowing the arms to float back by the sides. And this time extend the arms out behind. The thumbs point towards the floor. The arms are a little bit separated, as if you were running through that finish line at a running race. So the chest is leaning forward. If there's any pressure on the neck, you can bring the gaze down towards the floor. Just feel that stretch across the front of the chest. And then breathing in, bringing the arms to the front and just angling your back in a C shape. So you're doing the opposite move. So you're reaching your arms forward while it's as if somebody has you by the hips pulling you backwards. So your hands are reaching forward while your back is reaching backwards. Breathing in, sweeping the arms back, again, as if you're running through that finish line. And then as you breathe out, bringing the arms forward, closing in around the front of the body again. And then coming back to neutral, hands on the knees. We'll just do a little twist. So if you reach the arms up and overhead, this is the easiest way to lift up out of the pelvic bowl so that you can twist a little bit easier, more easily. So if you're reaching up, turn to the left and then bring the arms down onto the floor. So one hand goes to the outside of the knee, the other hand rests on the floor behind. And allow that twist to happen around the midline. So you're imagining your spine is like a dishcloth, you're wringing it out. Gently looking over the shoulder, but don't force it. And notice if you're gripping your knees or your hips, can you soften the knees and the hips? With each breath out, just releasing into that twist a little bit more. And then the next breath in, sweeping the arms back up overhead and breathing out, coming to the other side. Hand to the outside of the knee, other hand behind. Again, don't bring any pressure into the neck. Don't be trying to strain a look over your shoulder. The head and neck just follow the upper body. So this is more about the twist around the midline, softening the lower body while having it heavy and grounded. And just imagining that lovely twist of the spine. With each breath out through the nose, just releasing into that twist a little bit more. And breathing in, sweeping the arms back up. This time, interlace the fingers and then turn them inside out if you can. If that's too much, you can just keep the hands reaching upwards. Otherwise, turning them inside out, slide those shoulders down and see if you can do a little bit of a circle backwards. Then change directions, so that you're doing a little bit of a circle forwards. You might hear a lot of crunching and cracking. That's okay. Staying there in the center, then leaning over to one side. You can look over to the side that's exposed, that's stretched. That can kind of help counteract the balance. And then back up to the center and leaning over to the other side and looking out under the armpit. And then coming back to center. Release the hands back down again. And this time shrug the shoulders up towards the ears and slowly release them back down. Breathing in, lifting up the shoulders. Breathing out, bringing them down. Once more, breathing in. You can roll them forwards and exaggerate the movement a little as you're breathing them up, breathing out, bringing them down. And then change directions. Breathing in, coming up and forward and down. And again, up, forward and down. And last time, up, forward and down. Bringing up the arms in front of you. I want to give yourself a hug. So notice which arm is coming over the top to the top shoulder and the other one that's underneath. Just give yourself a hug. You can rock from side to side if you like. If that irritates your back at all, just stay steady. Release the hands and then change the one that's on top. Again, give yourself a little hug and release, shaking out the arms. Rest the hands again on the kneecaps. We're just going to move into the neck and then we'll come up into standing. So slide those shoulder blades down the back. Roll the shoulders open so that you're really feeling a stretch across the pecs at the front, the top of the chest. Arms are relaxed by the sides, upper arms are relaxed. Chin is parallel to the floor, crown the head extending up towards the ceiling. Closing over the eyes if you want to, or your gaze can just be soft ahead of your nose. And imagine you're dropping your ear down to your shoulder. So we're going to start with the left ear, dropping the left ear down towards the left shoulder. You're just extending the right side of the neck. And continue to focus on the breath. So as you breathe in through the nose, softening the belly, allowing it to expand, and then breathing out, drawing the belly all the way in. Coming back up to center, this time bringing the right ear down towards the right shoulder, extending, exposing the left side of the neck. Breathing in through the nose, allowing the belly to expand, breathing out, drawing the belly all the way in, and back up to center. Now imagine you have a little piece of chalk on the end of your nose. You're just drawing a little circle with your nose in one direction. So this is rotating the head on the axis at the top of the, excuse me, at the top of the spine. So we're doing a gentle little circle in one direction and then changing direction, drawing that little circle with the little piece of chalk on the end of your nose. And coming back to center again. Now taking away the blanket if you have one on your lap, moving that over to the side. And you can take out the cushions, moving them over to the side. You might need to help your knees up if you haven't been sitting cross-legged for a while. They might feel a little bit stiff, so we let the blood get back into them. Extend the legs out, give them a little shake, a little rock from side to side. Point the feet, flex the feet. Point, flex, spread the toes and try to press the big toe side of the feet away so you're lifting up the outside edges of your feet. And then change direction, so you're pressing the outside edges of your feet away and it's like you're lifting up the arches of the feet towards you. Once more, Big toes away, little toe side up, and alternate. Spread the toes again, wiggle the toes as much as you can. It's just getting into those joints. And the same thing, let's do it with the fingers as well. So you're moving your fingers, moving your toes, and then tighten the toes, scrunch up the toes only if you don't get cramps in your feet. If you do get cramps in your feet, just let that go. Otherwise, you're scrunching up your feet and your fists and do nice little circles in one direction. And then change direction. Lovely. And then before we come up to standing, just to stretch out the back of the body, bend the knees, coming up on the heels, bring the arms underneath the knees, and make sure that your feet are in parallel, so your feet aren't falling out to the sides. Feet are in parallel, and just bringing the chest down towards the upper parts of your legs. And allow the gaze to go down towards the floor. If you feel that this is very easy, you can just start to walk the heels away from you a little. So you're relaxing or releasing into a forward fold. And continue with the breath. So with each breath out, releasing a little bit more. And then to come up, you lift the head, the chest. You can use the hands on the sides on the floor to lift yourself up a little if you like. Hands over to the side, sweep the knees under. And you're going to come up into standing. So if you had anything you were sitting on, just moving it away. Coming up into standing. And you can just come up slowly, lifting the head up last. I'll adjust the camera a little because I see I've cut my head off. Let me just adjust that a little. So coming in to mountain pose, I want you to check that your feet are in parallel. So what we naturally seem to do sometimes is have one foot rotating outwards, and that can be a rotation of the hip, but can put pressure on the knees. So it's just some simple standing exercises to check your posture. If you have socks on, you might not have as much feedback from the floor, but it's still fine. If you lift up the toes, feel the four corners of the feet on the floor. You can see, you might notice perhaps you're putting more weight in one side or in one place, and just be aware of how you're standing. And then dropping the toes down. See if you can separate the toes. You could even use the floor to give a little bit of the resistance to help the toes spread. And then allow the arms to hang by the sides. Crown of the head is extending up towards the ceiling. Into mountain pose. And breathing in, I want you to sweep the arms up overhead, palms of the hands facing one another, looking up at the hands. And then as you breathe out, bending the knees forward so that you hinge forward at the hips and folding forward. You're bringing the hands down towards the floor. Allow the crown of the head to point down towards the floor. And just hang here for a moment. Your knees might be slightly bent to relieve any tightness in the hamstrings or any pain in the back. So you're hanging forward, making sure you're not putting any extra or undue pressure. Your feet are parallel, crown of the head pointing towards the floor. And then just see if you can straighten one leg, straighten the other. It might be just a little bit, and maybe bend the knees a little and straighten. So the upper body might sway forwards a little while you bend the knees. It might then tip forward a little bit more as you bend forward. Breathing in, breathing out. You can, the slower you move, the more awareness you bring to the hamstrings and the quads, and also to your back. And then to come up, bend the knees deeply, sweeping the arms forward and coming up into standing. Arms are up overhead. And then as you breathe out, the hands come back down into prayer position. So this is really nice for moving into the hamstrings. So we're doing that again. Breathing in, sweeping the arms up overhead, looking up at the hands. You might do even a little gentle back bend, just pressing hips forward and leaning back very slightly. Breathing out, hinging forward at the hips, bend the knees very slightly to come forward. Allow the crown of the head to point towards the ceiling, towards the floor. And then just alternate. Maybe you want to bend the knees together. Maybe you want to do one knee at a time. and straighten. Bend and straighten. Maybe even connect it with your breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, bending, breathing out, straightening. Crown of the head pointing towards the floor. Just holding it here for a moment. Seeing if you can straighten the legs a little bit more. And then hold the opposite elbows and sway from side to side. Just hanging out of the upper body, letting gravity draw you down towards the floor. Drawing the upper body down towards the floor. Release the hands again, nod the head, shake the head. And then bending the knees, sweeping the arms forward. So it's like your hips counterbalance the upper body. As you lift the arms up overhead, hands come together in prayer positions as you breathe out. And then one last time, breathing in, sweeping the arms up overhead, looking up at the hands, gentle back bend. Breathing out, folding forward, bend the knees. Crown of the head comes down towards the floor. Bring the hands onto the fronts of the shins, straighten the legs, and point the top of your head forward. So you have straight legs and a straight back. And breathing out, folding forward again. And then breathing in, sweep the arms along the sides, up, overhead. And then breathing out, the hands come back down into prayer position. So we're going to come back down onto the floor again. And we'll do this through that movement. So breathing in, sweeping the arms up overhead. Breathing out, folding forwards. And always give a gentle bend to the knees if there's any pressure on the hamstrings or the back. Breathing in, hands onto the fronts of the shins. Straight legs, straight back. Breathing out, folding forward. And then bending the knees, coming down onto the floor. So once again, lying down. This time we'll do a little twist on the floor. We'll do a little bit of sort of ground floor-based pigeon work, which is nice for the hips. So flat back, lowering down onto the floor. You can bend the knees up towards the ceiling. And become aware, you can bring your hands onto your hip bones at the front and bring the awareness to the lower back. So notice how you can have the pelvis tilted, which means that you have that little gap in the lower back. And then if you draw the belly in, you flatten the lower back onto the floor. That's what you'd like to do in this position to protect the back. Bring the right knee into the chest. And then bring the ankle above the opposite knee. Pressing the right knee away. So you're trying to get that sort of shape of the number 4 for your legs. And the arms can hang by the sides. If this is very comfortable for you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, you can lift up the left leg and reach the arms through to hold the back of the left thigh, but only if that's available. Don't bring in extra pressure onto the hips, and particularly if you haven't been practicing for a couple of weeks, just listening to the body without judgment. And then release the back of the thigh if you were doing that. Bring the arms out to the sides. Keeping the legs in this position, you're just going to bring the legs over to the right hand side. They're just going to drop over to the right while you bring your gaze to the left. I'll turn to face the camera this way so that you can see. I'm simply dropping the knees over to the side and bringing my gaze in the opposite direction. Coming back up to center. Check your position again, making sure that you've got that nice shape, and drop the legs over to the other side. So your foot almost may drop to the floor, your right foot. If it doesn't, don't worry. You're just bringing a twist to the other side and bring your gaze in the opposite direction. And then back up to center again. Bring the right knee into the chest, hugging it in, and release and place it back down on the floor. And we do the other side. So the left knee comes up, hugging it in. Bring the ankle above the opposite knee, pressing the knee away. If that's where you're staying, that's perfect. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can lift up that foot and reach around the back of the thigh. All the time aware of your breath. Each breath out, releasing and letting go. Releasing the back of the thigh, placing the foot back on the floor if that's what you were doing. Otherwise, just checking your alignment and your position, and drop the knees over to the left hand side. So you're getting a nice little twist, bringing the gaze to the right. Coming back up to center, and drop the knees over to the right hand side, bringing the gaze to the left. Back up to center. Bring the left knee back into the chest, hugging it in. And then release and place it down on the floor. Now I'll turn sideways again. So we'll do a little happy baby, which is really nice to release any pressure in the lower back. Bringing the knees into the chest. You can bring the hands onto the fronts of the knees. So to start with, you're just rocking from side to side and you have the knees wide. You can bring the fingertips to point down towards the feet, so they're on the fronts of the knees, and do little circles in one direction with the lower back and feel that nice little massage of the lower back, and then change direction. Now, if this is where you want to stay, this is absolutely fine. You just bring the knees wide. If you want to go into full happy baby, you reach the hands to the insides of the knees, right? So you're reaching through the insides of the knees to grab the feet on the outside edges and the little toe sides. And you lift the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling and you rock from side to side. So it's like you're using your feet as levers to rock from side to side. So it's exactly as it describes, like you would see a happy baby. Massaging their backs. It's a lovely thing to do for your nervous system. So your spine has all the nerves connecting to the entire body and the blood flow to the entire body. So just resting there for a moment then without any rocking, and release the hands, bringing the hands around then to the fronts of the shins, and you can once again rock from side to side if you like, or you could bring the head up towards the knees. And then release the feet down onto the floor. Extend the legs along the floor, reaching the arms up overhead. Point the toes away. Hold the opposite elbows if you're stuck for space, like me, or if you have the space, you can reach the arms as far back as you can, and they can be up off the floor a little bit, and stretch all the fingers, stretch the toes. Otherwise, you're holding the opposite elbows, really stretching the whole front of the body, and then breathe in. And when you breathe out, you're letting go of all effort, bringing the arms by the sides to come into Shavasana. So you can stay where you are, or if you would like to get a blanket to put over yourself, or put some cushions under your knees if you have any lower back issues. And just resting in Shavasana, and I will read a poem to you, just checking your positioning. So I've shown an example of where you can put the cushions underneath your knees. You have the palms of the hands facing up, because this opens up the shoulders to help the front of the body open up. If that feels a little uncomfortable to you, you can absolutely keep the arms or the hands on your tummy if you like, or place a blanket or a block on the front of the chest if that feels more comforting to you. Otherwise, if you want to open up the front of the chest, palms of the hands facing up towards the ceiling. And make sure that your head and neck is comfortable. So if your chin is too far towards your chest, you're overstretching the back of the neck. So just see if you can lift the chin very slightly to open the front of the throat. And likewise, if your chin is pointing up towards the ceiling, that may be overexposing your throat. So somewhere in the middle, a nice comfortable position. And then just closing over the eyes. Allow the breath to settle into complete effortless flow. I'll just read A Little Blessing of Solitude by John O'Donoghue. May you recognize in your life the presence, power, and light of your soul. May you realize that you are never alone, that your soul in its brightness and belonging connects you intimately with the rhythm of the universe. May you have the respect for your own individuality and difference. May you realize that the shape of your soul is unique and that you have a special destiny here, that behind the facade of your life, there is something beautiful, good, and eternal happening. May you learn to see yourself with the same delight, pride, and expectation with which God sees you in every moment. Just allowing the body, the mind, and the breath to completely let go, the relaxation in the body and the recovery, allowing everything to come back into balance. Just gently bending the knees, pointing the knees up towards the ceiling. Move the wrists and fingers. Maybe gently sway the knees from side to side. And rolling over onto one side, curling up so that you can completely release any effort in the spine. And just resting there for a moment. When you're ready, using the upper hand to press the floor away and come up into an upright seated position. Getting yourself nice and comfortable again. So getting the cushions under the knees or to prop up on a cushion, blanket across the lap if you like. Just resting the hands, sitting one on top of the other on your lap. The eyes are closed over as you just bring in awareness to how you're feeling in the upright seated position now at the end of practice. Bring the hands together, feeling the skin, the temperature of the hands, and just not even moving the hands, just being acutely aware of even the fingerprints pressing together, the fingertips, the shape of your hands, the temperature. Bring the hands to the top of the head, gently placing them on the top of the head with a little pressure, noting how the head is feeling. Bring the hands around to the front of the face, cupping the hands over the eyes, noticing how the eyes are feeling. Again, it's just enjoying the temperature from your hands or the pressure. It's the connection. It's connection into the body. And all without judgment. Bringing the hands then along the side of the face, along the jawline, very gently. Noticing how the jawline's feeling, if there's any tension in the jaw, or if it's softened. Bringing the hands onto either side of the neck and throat. Notice your swallow, your pulse, the skin. Placing the left hand on the heart, the right hand on top. Maybe being aware of the beat of your heart, maybe not. Maybe just the pressure in terms of the weight of the hands on the chest, the heat, whatever it might be, or maybe the absence of sensation as well. Again, it's all without judgment. Left hand on the lower belly, right hand on the upper belly. And connecting in here with your gut, your nutritional center. So noticing how the tummy's feeling, or, they say that this is your second brain as to your intuition. Just being aware of how you're really feeling or what you really need to nourish yourself today. Maybe it's to drink a little more water, have a rest, journal. Maybe you've done your work for today, which is perfect, all without judgment. And then again, sitting the hands one on top of the other, thumbs pressing together on your lap, elbows resting by your sides. Tipping the chin towards the chest, noticing the pressure of the thumbs pressing together. And doing your little body scan, finally running down, noticing how does the body feel now in comparison to the beginning of the practice? Different, not different? Is there a sort of an intuition as to what you'd like to do for yourself next or not? All without judgment. It's just a checking in time. Now bringing the hands together in prayer position, pressing the thumbs to the heart center, bowing the head, and taking a lovely deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Taking a moment to acknowledge that you've given yourself this time on the mat. And I thank you for coming to practice with me today and being my guinea pigs with the new system while I get it all ironed out. And give yourself thanks for making this space, and go forward into the day and into the week with the relaxation and making yourself that time for that breath work whenever you need it. Namaste. Thank you, everybody.